Footy chat.
Well, I mean, we will try our best to go on despite not having the raid from Human Interact. But yeah, hi. How's it going?
Oh, we lost Ikifu already.
Yep.
And threw Alexander under the bus as well. I mean,
Yep.
We're off to a great start.
Hey,
Suddenly
Best
Icky
Boy's
Fu.
back.
Welcome to
There
YAR
was some.
Talk, everybody.
God damn it! There was some debate as to whether or not I would show up, and I thought I would add some suspense.
Stroke your beard.
Unless that light in the background was animating and ruining the whole idea of it, but yeah, we'll see.
Okay,
Oh,
apparently the
yeah,
grain
I
is
know what it's
slightly
graining.
more noticeable. If it gets too terrible, let us know. We'll try and switch regions in the Discord call. But anyway, yes. Hi, we're back. It is YAR Talk once again. We've got joining us. We got Pickle Dog. We got Troubles. We've got Francisco. He's back after a while. Welcome back.
Hi. Thanks.
We've got Rizulka and some dude we're not talking to after last time. How's everybody doing?
Oh no, he's best boy.
You're the best boy.
Fuck.
You can't be mean to the best boy.
No. He has such a strokeable
did he?
beard. I said beard.
It is
yes,
pretty strokeable. I
It
will
is
give you
very
that.
soft. It is like I don't know. I haven't touched that many beards, but my brothers and my dad's are really scratchy.
Is this really
I'm not one
what
of
you wanna
those
kick
people,
off?
but you know, it's a soft beard.
This is,
One of those beard
And we're off.
touchers.
yeah.
Hi, what were you
Well-
expecting?
Well, like I said, don't touch your face, but you can touch other people's faces.
Yes.
Is
you
it
can
okay
touch,
if
you
you-
can touch it? Best
You
boy's beard.
sequester yourself and then start rubbing your face vigorously. I think that's okay. As long as you wash your hands first.
Yes. And we promised you wouldn't talk about the coronavirus.
We did.
I made no such promise. But yes, seriously, coronavirus has gone quite rampant, to say the least. And it is...
That unnecessary pause, all right? Coronavirus is gone. Happy... No, wait, it's gone.
It's called taking a breath. As a human, I tend to need to do that sometimes. You should look that up.
I think that's in my next firmware update.
Humans do it.
You might, yeah, you might want to make sure your baby's been doing that recently. I hear it's good for health. Breathing
Babies
regularly.
also breathe.
Yeah, there you go. Note that down. But anyway, as I was saying, coronavirus has kind of shut down pretty much everything. A whole hell of a lot of businesses have been telling their workers, stay home, just do everything from home, isolate yourself and take care of yourself as best you can. Yeah, Trolls has done it. I think
I've been ordered
The
to.
food's done it.
yeah, Iggy was
Yeah,
done-
well, I
think
did it as a drill for a couple of days, and then it became very much not a drill. So
Denmark has closed its borders. We are officially, back to whenever the last time we closed our borders.
Hang on, am
And
I
then we're
yeah,
told
we
by
were
the-
getting around to that.
Now we were last time we closed our borders. It was for purely racist purposes, and we were actually told by the EU to actually you can't really do that. That's against a treaty of I think Schengen was the word. And then we had to reopen them. Oh, the racists were so furious.
They off it out though,
Hi.
aren't they?
echo, but I got everything turned off on my end, so I shouldn't be echoing.
I do not hear echo.
And this is
Everyone
because
else-
of that by many introverts win.
Lucy says she likes when and Demon now Dee says I hear no echo. Don't freak me out like that. I thought I had
I
everything
think
fixed.
I think Lucy was just saying that she liked it when you were booming.
There's an okay. You scared me.
Yeah, booming,
Well, as a
echo,
parent,
those are
I will
different
soon be
things
booming.
to-
I had a point I was trying to make. Anyway, moving into the news. Yes, coronavirus shut down everything. Everybody's isolated, working from home, and everything. And so we've got a couple of news items sort of tied into that. The first is this very thing you're watching us on. No, not Twitch, Discord. They have temporarily, I don't know how long it's going to last, but they have
They said
temporarily,
at least the next couple of months. They said.
at least next couple of months, they are updating their go live function to where you can have up to 50 people in it now, as opposed to
Yes.
10, which it was before. We don't know if it's DMs like this is, but at the very least, the go live function now has the capability of having way more people in it, so everybody can stay connected even though they can't, physically interact with one another.
And for those that don't know, the go live function is that streaming thing you can do on
Yeah,
a server
it's,
Yes.
it's
that I
basically
can't get to work.
Discord's Twitch.
It works a lot better now.
Right.
I'd suggest you try it now.
Well,
Like,
what I
what's
was
it
going to
called?
say is
Right
this
now.
is how well it works
Yeah,
with
right
6
now.
people. So
Oh,
Right now.
yeah.
Well, what's it called? I watched a film with Darth and a couple of other people on my day off. Dracula movie. Lots of gore. Lots of vampire wenches being cats.
but how French was it?
Not French enough.
How many penguins were there?
Needs more French.
When it was done, I said, you promised me a French Dracula film. There was no French here. There was just women going,
Was it more Italian? Yes. But regardless, we are indeed covering a lot of continents right now, so that might also explain some of the video quality.
Yeah.
Quite a few continents, at least 3.
yes.
But anyway, going back to the coronavirus-related gaming news, something else that's happening is Ivy Dupler, a great voice actress who's been in a great many number of games, Unavowed for one. She was also in Whispers of a Machine, wherein I did not confuse her with Sandra Espinosa. Shut up. She, together with
She
her
was
boy-
also in a little game called Lamplight City.
fuck that game. She was also... I'm kidding.
Fight.
She, together with her boyfriend, trying to save this...
It's okay to
as
fail,
I
don't
can.
worry.
Oh,
She,
man.
together with her boyfriend, have come up with this, the Work From Home Jam.
What? I didn't know about this.
Yeah. They just recently tweeted about this.
I thought you said you knew her.
I do.
This is the
He did
the
know
grunting
her,
you
past
out?
tense.
It
I
starts
was
in a
just
couple of
telling
days.
about a conversation
and
that we had about Mist.
says a bunch of companies worldwide are asking employees to exclusively work from home. So as long as you're stuck inside, why not make a game? And if you're making a game, why not help people maintain human connections while they're indoors? So
What
the
if your
object is to make a
entire
giant
job is staying
MMORPG
indoors
with
and
voice and
making-
text. Oh no, wait, you don't necessarily have to do that. Okay, good. But it will last from March 16th through April 19th.
Hopefully
And,
the virus
yeah.
will be done by then.
Say what?
I said,
Yeah,
hopefully
the-
the virus will be done by then.
Yes.
virus
It'll be a
will
great
realize-
shame if the virus is done by then,
hopefully
because then they'll have to
long
end the
before
game
then,
jam and the game won't be finished. I mean,
But basically, facilitating human connection is the general overall theme of the jam. And,
Well, I can't support this in good
reuse art,
conscience.
code, and other resources. Nothing has to be original. Or well, I suppose it does have to be original. But
Well, in that case, I would love to enter with a little game I've made. It's called Lamplight City. It stars
Actually-
a detective who keeps talking to his dead partner, and
Yeah.
also he might be gay.
Actually, this one seems to contradict
Oh!
itself. It says you can reuse art, code, and other resources from
my-
previous projects. Just don't submit anything not created specifically for this jam. So,
Damn.
I mean, that's
so unused items for another game, like you don't have to create it within this jam window.
I don't know. It says
seems like a weird
reuse art,
sentence to
code,
say,
and
but
other
you know what I mean.
other resources from previous projects. Previous
Ah,
projects,
I'm back in
presumably
the
not
game.
ones created for this jam, but don't submit anything not created for the jam. So that.
All I need is for Francisco to send me the art and sprites from Lamplight City, and I will create the most smashing slash fiction you've ever played.
Oh,
Okay.
Make a kind of
Between
game.
who?
Make a game for
I
kids
would
to
play
play
that.
with their parents.
People
Oh,
in the chat are saying. People in the chat are saying they can't read the text that you're showing on screen, Gemini.
Zoomy.
They should be. I've got the display capture.
No
Oh,
one said
No.
there would be an eye test today. Well, apparently it's really
It's too
blurry.
small, I think, is the.
Yeah.
it's small.
It's too
consensus.
small.
Oh, well,
So
I can fix
small.
that.
Much
We can-
like I just
on
wanted
browser,
on
yeah.
record. That is also not the reason why we went through IVF.
We know all
Because of
about your
small
yarn dick. It's
text.
fine. All right.
You misread the sex instructions and was like, well, this doesn't work. On to IVF.
Instruction unclear, dick stuck in ventilator.
Here's some bonus challenges for the jam if you want to read them while they go on about that.
So
we
Tropes
is
is dead.
mature.
Basically,
And here's a Discord for the jam, so you can follow along with it and connect with other people taking part. But again, it takes place from March 16th through April 19th. Gotta say, I love the so professional banner created for it. That's top
It's
top
beautiful.
quality art.
100%.
Absolutely beautiful. Great idea too. Seriously.
I mean,
I've
if
yet
I
to
jumped
test
in on
it.
this, that would be what my artwork looked like. And just echo Troll's comments there. It is a good idea. Very in the spirit of not everybody panicking over coronavirus. That is a good thing.
Exactly.
And unfortunately,
Q,
makes me realize how lucky
every
I
game that
am to
comes
be
in-
able to work from home. So,
Oh, will you be entering?
Yeah, 'cause-
oh god, no, I'm too busy. But you know, in general,
Fair enough.
says he who hasn't put out a YouTube video in what 2 weeks.
I wonder how many of the games in the jam will actually feature some sort of global pandemic, and you are the plucky hero who can save them all. I don't think anyone. This is an original idea. All the people participating in the jam, don't steal my original ideas. I'm sure none of you would have thought of it before I said it.
I
think
think
I'll
fine. I'm
make
just
a
going
game
to
for
submit
this.
the game with no copyright intended on the title screen.
I'll make a game for this jam. It'll be about a lady who is suffering in a global pandemic, who's also got the disease and is trying to find a vaccine, which is being hoarded by the corrupt government.
And there'll
Oh,
be green
wait
crystals
a
everywhere.
minute. Green
Sounds
crystals,
like-
just like in the dig.
Wait a minute.
What would you call this game?
I have a perfect title.
Mardlight.
I'd call it We're All
Drawing-
Fucked.
Drawing dicks on whiteboards, the game.
Yes, there you go. TTD simulator.
Yeah. Or the Women's Murder Club, because I found out you can do that in that game.
Oh, nice.
Lucy's asking if trolls will make videos for some of those games.
Oh, I would love to. Sadly, I'm incapacitated. What a shame.
Yep.
As a
Here,
parent,
son boy, you will
just-
earn your keep now. Play these games.
Not because of wife and child, by the way. I am physically strapped into this chair.
Yeah.
I
Sexy.
cannot move.
Look, I said I was sorry, okay? The fuck chair was for someone else. You just happened to. When I said take a seat, I should have been more specific. Granted.
Well, in your defense, my prostate has never felt better.
Sweet. I'm glad to hear that.
Hey, Blade Runner is getting remastered.
Hey!
Hey!
Are there any dicks in it?
I don't understand it then.
What's this even for?
Yeah, there's his dick. His name's Ray McCoy.
Oh, shit. I mean,
Yeah,
depends
he
how
is
you
a
play
dick.
him.
He's a
True.
detective.
Yeah.
I just have to say,
That's
the
right.
timing on that one was
Oh,
perfect.
it's a dick heavy episode, everyone.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
Oh, God.
There it is.
I'm amazed it took her that long.
It may have already come up once. I just didn't talk
I don't
about
want to
it.
know about that.
That's not the only thing that came up. Welcome to YAR Talk After Dark, everyone.
It's always after dark.
It's very
Quite
grim, is
light
what
at
it
the
is.
moment.
Given the amount of
Blade
continents
Runner
we cover, that
is
is
the
technically true.
Blade Runner is a fantastic game. There are
yeah, we're
very
talking
few
about games.
dicks in it. Which is a shame, I admit. But other than that, it's they've gone in and reverse engineered the original game because the original source code was lost. They are turning it into widescreen. They are re-rendering cutscenes, new models, and it's coming out for not just PC but the Nintendo Switch and other consoles I'm not interested in. So
I have a question.
kudos. Yes.
Perhaps the more technical minded amongst you can answer this, but if they don't have access to the source code and they're just reverse engineering it, how do they have access to the cutscene source files to re-render them?
Well, they are
maybe-
they're just there, but they don't have access to the source files, I guess, unless they've said otherwise.
Or
But
could they
they may
have
do what
decompiled?
they're. I mean, they can get a video file from the game, like that actual video is within the game's data files.
Right.
But what I suspect they'll end up doing is either redoing them entirely and just making them look nothing like the original, or do what they're doing for the Command and Conquer remaster, which is using the AI upscaler to improve
Okay,
them.
that makes sense.
Another possibility is they could be doing what the Blizzard remasters did, and that, or was
Nothing.
that the, or was it the Crash Bandicoot remasters? I think it was, where they lost the game source, but they didn't lose the asset sources.
Okay.
And I'm leaning towards
possible.
that one because
Yeah.
one thing is upscaling an FMV. The FMV would still be in a 4:3 ratio, but they said that they're turning the game widescreen. So I'm imagining
Yeah.
that they have the original, I guess, assets, renders, models, all of that, so they can rebuild the game. but not the source code. The source code is, by the way, this is all conjecture. It's all speculation. Night Dive haven't actually said what they have and what they don't have. They've just said, oh, by the way, it's Night Dive doing the thing. They have done other things,
lot.
System Shock.
They've done quite a few other things.
What was that in the chat? You mean the read through the ScumVM GitHub? No, they actually what ScumVM did. I guess they technically reverse engineered it as well, but they just made the original code run in ScumVM. What Night Dive are doing is actually porting all of the game into their own engine.
It's and I'm glad you brought that up, because it's actually two different efforts that were going on concurrently. We believe without each other's knowledge.
Maybe. I mean, it's well within the possibility that someone looked over someone else's shoulder. The greater good, but I don't know.
Why would one company possibly work on another game without the knowledge of another development company? Why would they do that, Nine-Sign?
Oh hell, that can happen within the same company.
You
Which
really
is
need to go and
also
tell
Sierra
Nine-Sign that they're
related.
doing a good job, apparently. They really want you to go and tell them that they're doing a good job.
Brainiac's got a quote for us. We have been in negotiations with the
Yeah.
CEO of Night Dive Studios for a couple of months for them to use our source code for their commercial re-release up until about a month and a half ago. Now they claim to have reverse engineered the game and recreated original assets by themselves. I'll believe it when I see it. I believe this is a quote from,
Drama.
he said earlier, a ScumVM dev who is a tad suspicious, according to
I mean, they did work for
Brainiac.
8 years to make this game run on ScumVM, so I would I would imagine if
Huh?
What?
what
Who,
What?
where?
Look at the
was
message.
it?
Or better yet,
What?
I'll just put it on screen for everybody to enjoy.
Why? Yeah, that
what is
wasn't me.
happening?
I left a little present in the Discord
Oh.
chat.
Oh no! What now?
I know shared
Yeah,
with
baby.
everyone.
Q, where's dildo music?
Oh no!
So yeah, that's what we're dealing with.
Again, why am I saving these pictures? It shows me in a bad light.
They're very French.
They are very French.
None more French.
But what's happening here, though?
You're holding it too tight. That's what's happening.
Oh, okay.
It's fallen off is what's happened.
Little friend or
Jiggle a little bit.
No.
Look, there we go.
Oh, he
Back
has
to normal.
socks.
There you go. Especially,
Ah!
Especially has
see.
socks. Dog has
the
socks.
mood changed for the better.
We have
Yeah.
given you your requisite
got out of
dog
the
for the
gu-
day.
We got out of the gutter.
So what I'm interested in is how they are going to upgrade the assets, because we have various ways. We've got the AI upscaling, as previously mentioned. A lot of assets to do that with, though. Or they could take the Grim Fandango remastered route and not fucking bother. And I don't know if
They
they'll
could.
necessarily get away with that. Grim Fandango, still images. It's not going to be too bad. Compressed FMV could be more troublesome.
Actually,
could.
oh, sorry, go ahead, Jules.
No, you first, because I have a conspiracy theory.
Oh, I was just
Oh.
gonna say that I know someone who was contacted to work on the UI for the game.
For Blade Runner.
So I
cool.
guess they're doing the UI again. They're redoing it or improving on it or something. I don't
They
know.
would have to if they're,
They're
porting
changing
it
the
into
font.
their own
That's
engine.
practically the same thing.
Yeah,
They should.
exactly.
They should. The font was very hard to read. My conspiracy theory is that they're doing the awful thing when, back in the Laserdisc days, they'd have widescreen presentations, but they'd be really sort of zoomed in and cropped. So what they could be doing is just taking a 4:3 FMV and then zoom in so it fills the widescreen aspect, and then just upscale that.
They're gonna hack and
Don't do
slash
that.
it.
So we won't see that there's basically just a whole heap of ding-dongs just at the side that been cropped out before.
You know what? I will take a heap of ding-dongs gladly, in fact, if we somehow get rid of that McCoy speeds up with a 14-year-old prostitute robot ending.
Yep.
There seems to be a weird bug. I can't get any of it.
Blade Runner was up and running in the museum area of the last MagFest. Was it? That's cool. I never.
Nice.
They usually have. I didn't see it. But they usually have like an at least two or three adventure games running at any given time. which
I
is
have
cool.
another conspiracy theory. The coronavirus did not originate from China as previously expected. It's in fact just a really bad case of the mag virus.
You forgot to preface that with "as a parent."
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, before we started, I realized that now as a parent, I can get away with saying some abject fucking stupid shit as long as I preface it by saying as a parent. So
That is a
and that-
parent.
3 words different from what you were doing before, but okay.
speaking as a parent.
4 words.
Okay.
Speaking as a concerned citizen.
Speaking as someone who wants to move this damn show along, GOG.
Right.
This is slightly old news. This happened last month, but I can't remember if we talked about it on the show or not. GOG has made their refund process quite a bit easier. They've more or less sort of put it on par with Steam's, but removed the playtime limit from what I can tell. Would probably help if I brought up the site, but yeah, now you have basically 30 days to refund a game. Pretty much no questions asked, generally.
Seems
Bring another
weird.
site.
That's a lot of leeway to put on people who. Now I'm not
Yeah,
gonna. No,
I have.
I would
feel
say
like
There's
good
some
for the
caveats.
consumers, but I would very much like to hear the developer's opinion on this.
Yes, me too. Very much indeed.
There's some caveats to it. We'll get into that in a bit. It says, starting now, you can get a full refund up to 30 days after purchasing the product, even if you downloaded, launched, and played it. That's it. Which puts it leaps and bounds above Steam's refund policy, really, because theirs is 14 days, and only if you've played less than 2 hours of the game. This is 30 days, and there doesn't appear to be a time limit on just how long you can kind of played the game.
And
Look,
the thing that
speaking as a
bears
parent-
mentioning is that GOG has no DRM. Steam will kill the game if you return it. GOG can't kill the game if you return it.
No, you can just basically buy it and share it with all your friends and get a refund. Now, speaking as a parent, gamers are inherently untrustworthy assholes, so I would really like to hear from the development side of things, Mr. Slav. What do
They,
you
they
like?
do.
The
they
other
do
one.
actually kind of sort of address that
can
in this
both
last
chime
one. There's an FAQ. How often can I refund my games? Is there some sort of limit? We trust that you're making informed purchasing decisions and will use this updated voluntary refund policy only if
Excuse me,
something
can you read
doesn't
that
work
again
as
so I can do a
expected.
spit take?
This is why there are no limits, but instead we reserve the right to refuse refunds in individual cases. Please respect all the time and hard work put into making the games you play, and remember that refunds are not reviews. If you finished the game and didn't like it, please consider sharing your opinion instead. Also, please don't take advantage of our trust by asking for an unreasonable amount of games to be refunded. Don't be that person. No one likes that person.
Interestingly enough, the one thing I did return on Steam, they let me keep it. I don't know why.
The only thing I've ever returned was the 11th hour, and that's primarily because the GOG version is broken. Absolutely abject, awful. Yeah, that's it. I've never even returned a game that I didn't like. I've kept it mostly so that it can look at all the other games in my library and feel very ashamed.
Anyway,
only
to go
thing I
back to
returned was 'cause it
Trolls'
didn't
question,
work.
let's get Grundy's opinion on this as a speaking as a developer, as a
Well,
game
speaking
parent.
as a developer,
I too would like to hear Grundy's opinion.
I just want to say, Trolls, thanks for not returning Lamplight City and letting it live in shame on the rest of your shelf.
I like that game, you know.
It
I can't
is a
return
good
it.
game.
But I got
Even if
it
I
on
wanted to.
Steam, I think.
I think that this news came out and everyone freaked out, and then once the initial dust settled, people realized that GOG's policy has always been this, more or less. I think they just changed something. I think it used to be that they would only let you return something if it was broken or if it didn't
Yeah.
work, and now they changed it to, if it's whatever reason. I'm sure there's going to be people abusing it, and that sucks. But personally speaking, I really don't care because GOG sells like a quarter of what Steam sells, so GOG can do whatever they like. I'm not gonna no skin off my nose.
GOG sells a quarter of what Steam sells because Steam is loaded with fucking asset flips. So, I mean, pretty much anybody sells a quarter of what Steam sells.
Well,
No,
what
no,
I
quarters
his
being
game.
generous.
No. I don't mean amount of games. I mean units of my own product.
Oh,
I mean, like, my games have sold 4 times as well on
a
Steam
quarter
as
of
they have
your
sold.
stuff as what? Okay.
Correct.
You
Like Lamplight
should have
City when
thrown
it
that in
came
there.
out. Sorry, when Lamplight City came out, actually there was a sale the other day, and I always go and look and I list by best selling just to get an idea. And I was like, and I looked one day, and out of
Now for
100,
depression.
yeah, out of 100 and something games, Lamplight City was number 17, and I thought that's not bad. 10 copies that day. So that just goes to show you it was number 1 selling for the first week when it came out on GOG, and I think it sold fewer than 500 copies. So if that's what it takes to be number 1 selling in your first week, that tells you something about how many units are being moved on GOG. So
Yeah.
that's me.
Well, that's interesting. Sorry. Go ahead.
I mean, I would feel that pirate's gonna pirate, and this probably isn't gonna have a whole lot of effect in the long run. I would be curious to see the numbers, though, if somebody has actually made good correlations on this.
I'm also curious to see if Grundislav will now live forever or turn into a skeleton.
Yes.
If he has chosen wisely or poorly.
Spoiler alert, that flag in the background is not actually a flag, it's just a portrait.
Yeah, exactly. That's my picture of Dorian Gray.
The face emerges from the flag and becomes. I was about to say flesh, but.
Well, one last
Oh,
bit of
Dan
news.
has a question. Oh, sorry, this is a good one. What do you think would be the ultimate point-and-click adventure game to release on current-gen consoles to get the broad audience to open their eyes? That's a loaded question, isn't it?
Nothing from before 2010.
That may have to be a topic in and of itself for its own show.
think-
Nothing
Yeah,
after
that's-
2010.
That's
I
gonna
think we
require
should
some
definitely.
thinking.
Yeah, it is. That's gonna. But let's make a
Good
note
question,
of that because
though.
that could be a whole episode on itself.
So
Great question.
file that away under to be continued, maybe. One last bit of news, at least for me. I don't know if anybody else has got anything. But you may remember on a previous show, one of our news topics was the fact that Cyan, makers of... Oh, yeah, Trolls, you may want to cover your ears for this one. Cyan.
I'm over it. I get puked on daily.
The people that made Myst and Riven and all that recently made their own store, wherein, amongst other things, they had quote-unquote shirts, where they, with quote-unquote designs, where they basically just plastered the name of the game, Myst or Riven, on a shirt. Now, admittedly, I just brought this site up a couple minutes ago just to get some comparison. Admittedly, they seem to have quote-unquote improved. They've added the dagger from Riven, but still, it's basically just a thing plastered on a shirt that I could literally make for $10, and they're charging almost 30 for it.
I mean, if
But-
there was a dong on it, I would buy it. A dong, I'd buy it.
A site called Limited Run has, well, first off, they're taking pre-orders for, speaking of point and clicks coming to consoles, Real Myst. They're making a version of that for the Switch. But, amongst other things, they also have Myst merchandise, one of which, or two of which actually, are a couple of shirts. And these are fucking shirts. This is what Cyan should have, right here. Get a good close look.
hang
This is
on,
one of
were-
the designs. It's the
Were
fallen
the previous
guy
ones official?
silhouetted against...
Yeah, the previous
Mist
ones were
Island.
official.
Good God. That's terrible.
Shut up! This is awesome. And
Yeah, no, I mean, the previous
No, the other ones were
previous
terrible.
Previous one.
yeah,
Well,
the
this one's
official
fantastic.
shit is, again, it's just a word plastered on a shirt. I can make that in 5
Yeah,
minutes. That's a
It's a shirt.
design right there. And each of the
Good
shirts
lord.
comes with a sticker, which is cool. This is the sticker for this one. It's the Falling Man silhouette, again, with Mist Island in it. So that's that one. And these are actually slightly cheaper than the official Cyan Store one, which I say official, like these are bootleg or something. I'm sure they're working with Cyan in making these, but still, these are slightly cheaper. Again, they're available for pre-order right now. There's a disclaimer says they are currently in manufacturing. They won't ship for 2 to 4 months after the date of the initial sale. But anyway, that's the first design. Second one is this one right here, which this is also badass. I love this one. And this one also comes with a sticker, which I absolutely freaking love. It's got the letters in mist as a fancy design. I love this. I don't normally pre-order stuff. These might just be contenders for my first pre-order. I absolutely love these. And they've also got pins too, but pins, P-I-N-S.
Yeah. Oh, I've gotten so many weird pins from Adventure X and ordering like vinyl albums and stuff. People make pins for what? Who are still sticking pins on their backpacks and their denim jackets and shit? What is this fascination with Grundis? Okay, never mind.
I don't know, but they've got a linking book pin that actually opens up and shows a picture of Mist Island. I think they've got a Falling Man pin as well, and they've got a journal, sort of like this one here that I'm using, but it's, the design looks like a linking book. But I am very seriously considering grabbing those 2 shirts. I freaking love the designs on those. Again, that is what the official shit should have been.
So suck it, Cyan.
You know what? For once, I'm in agreement with you, trolls. That is absolutely what the official shirts should have been. Absolutely love
Can't
those.
disagree. Lucy in the chat says that we need a Space Quest 2 Root Monster T-shirt. Yes,
I'd wear
we
it.
do. I would wear it too.
I would wear the crap out of it.
The only official merchandise I would want would be a Space Quest 2 vacuum cleaner.
It really sucks.
What about
Exactly.
toilet
Yeah,
brush?
we got it. We got it, Leigh. Thank you.
Well, you could buy a Roomba and some paint, I don't know.
Oh, Brainiac just linked. Yeah, I think this is the people making those shirts that I just showed for a limited run. But yeah, there's a falling pin. There's a opening book pin. There's also a cap and a crewneck sweater, which I didn't see on the site, as well as a poster of Mist Island. Oh, and a poster of this design as well, which I'm pointing at like you can see it. There we go. Now you can see it. But yeah, there's the opening book pin.
Pins.
Yeah,
Pins.
I'm just-
even the cap I might even consider getting. Just I love these. Absolutely love them.
Well, I mean, Penny Arcade kind of proved that pin collecting is huge. It's they had this like, oh, let's have this weird idea where we have collectible pins, and everybody went bananas for them, and now they're a thing.
That's actually right.
no,
I
the
completely
thing
forgotten
is-
about that.
Disneyland's been having pins since like the 90s, so really they started the collectible thing, and then it's just kind of gone from there. I
Lucy
may have
asked, are
some
there any
Disneyland
t-shirt
pins.
not missed? I'm sure there's other shirts somewhere you can find.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Fangamer does
Good work.
does good work for lots of companies. Them and I Am 8-Bit. Check them out.
Oh
They are
yeah, I love that.
I'm 8-Bit. Lovely stuff. They put out some really quality vinyl albums. I'm 8-Bit.
Yeah, I've got
I
the
think
Battletoad ones.
They also did the Undertale, and they
There's my-
did the Doki Doki Literature Club vinyl.
Oh yes, yes.
Ah,
There's
Lucy
my,
wants a Lamplight City shirt. Get on that, Francisco. Anyway,
There's my SteamWorld Dig vinyl in the background there.
what vinyl?
SteamWorld Dig. It's a fun
yeah.
game.
Oh,
Oh, that means you got some steam-powered giraffe music on there.
Steam-powered giraffe music. Well, I'm into it.
They pretend to
know
be
what that
robots.
means.
It's fantabulous. Fantabulous.
That's a lovely setting. Yeah.
so
Let's see. What do I want? I actually have real Buckazoids that were test runs for backer rewards from Space Venture, and I actually don't know if they ever got sent out to backers. They will when the game comes out, I'm sure. But yeah, I've actually got those. But other than that, I've got a Space Venture T-shirt and yeah, a couple of T-shirts. I got a Gibbous T-shirt and I got one for Her Majesty's Spiffing. But that's really the extent of
I have
awesome
a T-shirt for.
swag.
I have a T-shirt for what's it called? Drew Grabowski Swashbuckling pirate.
Oh, good lord.
I know.
Kigurami says, "Do we have any news on
Space
Space
Venture?" So let's talk about
It'll
tropes.
come out. Wait, hang on. Wasn't there? You briefly mentioned it, but we sort of skimmed over it. There was another newsletter that came out from our adorable friends in
Yeah,
Lower
I touched on
Bowland.
Nine, but
They're
I don't.
trying.
I think.
Ooh, is there more news about Laura Bow, the mechanical codex?
Not really. I don't think.
Not really. Okay,
Yeah.
so
My
like
favorite dumpster fire.
they did it. I'll get the email out. With my phone. But basically, they were saying that they haven't made much progress in the last month. They're a bit what's it called? Disheartened.
Oh.
And let me actually get the email out so I can read it because I think
No
there's
rude
some
words
people-
about Ninezyme, everyone.
Here we go.
Just
The
the truth.
email is entitled "The Mean Streets of New York City."
Oh no.
Now they're making
Did they
Tex
get
Murphy.
mugged?
Yeah, that's a.
I wouldn't put it
Here we
past
go.
them.
February flew right by. Our work on the mechanical codex is
Don't say flu.
is
Work on the
still
game
on
because coronavirus right by, and
nice but steady path. We've made some significant progress on the introduction of the game, and the initial gameplay areas this month, and March will be focused on this as well. Our goal is to have a releasable playable demo at the end of the summer this year. At this moment, it might still be achievable. That said, this is game development. Anything and everything can happen, causing delays. Sometimes it's due to poor planning or lack of communication.
Or not securing the rights to a game you like.
Yeah, just little things like that.
Sorry.
It's fine.
Yeah. And these moments are out of our control. On that topic, a couple of our team members have been dealing with some very difficult problems in their personal lives recently. It's impacted.
Why are we laughing
Activision
at
has
that?
been sending men in
I
black to
know,
their
it's-
houses.
No, I think it's kind of like some people might be seeing the flack and then being like, oh, I don't know about this. In order for us to do our best work, keeping a healthy professional life is super important. If you would like to express your words of support, please send us a note at their email address. It would mean a lot to hear some positive feedback from all the amazing fans out there. And that's pretty much their whole email because at most they then go on to say that New York City is Laura's hometown.
it's
Is
not.
it?
It's not.
She
not-
moved
It
there.
is now, apparently.
He
Because,
lives
thankfully
in-
they're not using Laura Bow in the game. The artwork made that very clear.
New York City. Oh, look, it's
Oh.
human interaction.
Ken,
Oh, look, he
keep your-
did rate us
there
after
is-
all, just by himself.
there-
Alex.
Yeah, there is a picture of a new character called Nazir.
Really?
You know, like we were talking. Well, not we were talking, but at some point we were talking about how there's not really anyone from the previous Laura Bro games except for Stam Augustini. Where is Steve Dorian? They're dating.
Steve.
Where is Steve?
Maybe they're
How do you
saving
make
him for
Laura
a
Bro without
surprise.
Steve?
Did she hashtag stop dating Steve?
No.
Oh.
Oh no.
Oh God.
Okay, everybody, show's over.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
no,
let's
just,
move on.
of all the people that
leave
are
it to
saying
me
like,
to run
oh,
it.
I don't really recognize anyone, and there's this huge, like, there's like 12 people in the that they've got listed in there. Well, not listed. They've got pictures of 12 people as the cast that they're working on, and so it's just kind of like, where's Steve? You didn't have space for Steve?
No one has space for Steve. Dan has asked twice that what's our favorite horror game because it's Friday the 13th. Again, that could be a whole episode on its own.
That could
Yeah.
be a whole episode
Yeah.
on its own.
Yeah.
Why don't we
I
have
like so
like
many.
2 Jasons in this club? It could get it could get bloody.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had for the past couple episodes with me and Avoozle.
Yeah.
But anyway, moving on. Let's talk tropes. Specifically, ones that are used way too damn much. And what could be done to either improve them or avoid them altogether. You know my pet peeve. I've mentioned it several times before. The extreme overuse of the protagonist with l'amnesia. So let's take that as a starting point. How can that be improved or worked around?
Just
I
don't
think
do
the
it.
Don't give them
problem is-
amnesia.
Yeah, the
Apart from
problem is
that.
there's how many different ways has this been used?
Exactly.
You wake up with amnesia, you find out who you really are and maybe why you got amnesia. I think that's
It's
it.
be, it's because you need a sense of mystery. You need a sense of urgency to get the player moving instead of just you wake up in your apartment and then you go to work and then stuff happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You kind of want this artificial
Yeah.
impetus to
it's
go and do something, but it's just
and it's a writing crutch to help introduce the player to all the stuff that the character's supposed to really know about. Except,
Yes.
whoa, imagine that the character doesn't know either.
Yeah.
and then you
Now
either,
you can
either,
identify
either,
with.
Yeah.
either you have to have the protagonist have a really mundane sort of everyday task that everyone knows how to do, like a baker. I don't know why I went with baker because usually when you have at least adventure games of the early 90s seem to enjoy putting their protagonists in fantastic situations, spaceship captains or mercenaries or whatever, just stuff that you don't normally everyday people know how to do. So someone would have to invariably explain to you this is how being an undercover CIA operative dressed as a loaf of bread works.
That is oddly specific, and I would play it.
I'm working on a game design at the moment.
Apparently.
Yeah, but what's it called? Just the whole because it's kind of either you have to come into something or why don't you know about the situation around you? So
I would
mean,
say maybe turn it on its head a little bit. Maybe say
Everyone
go
else
through
has
most of
amnesia.
a game thinking you are some mundane normal person, and then suddenly at some point it's revealed, surprise, you're actually Prince of the Leopard People of Mars, and you have been for 30 years or something
But
like that.
Wasn't that what King's Quest 3 did?
That blends into another trope, which is the chosen one.
Oh,
Yeah, that is
Oh.
that is also another.
see, like Dragon's
The art
Sphere
a wizard,
actually,
Harry.
Dragon's Sphere actually did a interesting twist on like the chosen one where
They
you
did,
start off-
yes.
Yeah, you start off the game as the prince, and then after a while, it just turns out, no, actually, you're just a schlub. You've just been, like, essentially, what's it called? Quantum leaped into the
And
form
the real
of the
prince is an asshole.
Yeah!
But
my,
actually,
my problem is the chosen one, but also more specifically, I think I brought this up in what was it, my King's Quest 8 review. Chosen one games with a good ending, because I mean, you kind of called it. I mean, you were the chosen one.
Yeah.
Destiny, predestination. You always knew it was going to happen, so why bother playing? Really?
I think what's it called? That Longest Journey actually kind of is an interesting one with that in terms
I
of
was just thinking about that one. Yeah,
because
it is
April Ryan
pretty
is,
much a
yeah.
chosen one thing, but
Yeah.
she's not
it's a
keen on
chosen
it.
one.
Yeah.
Well, not even that, but I was talking about like so at the end of the first game, because she's told most of the way through that you're going to become. Sorry, spoilers if you haven't played Longest Journey. Everyone avert. Yeah.
The old woman is April.
Kind of not. Look, there's a lot that happens across those three games.
I don't think even Ragnar Tornquist knows what happens, so...
Yeah, but what's it called? In terms of like, so she's all the way through. She's told you're going to become this next guardian of balance. You know, don't worry. Like like that's what your life's going to be. And then it comes to the end, and it's like, no, you're actually not going to be doing this for possibly a while, even possibly ever. So who knows? Instead, let's put Gordon back into it.
Dee Dee says, what if they twist the chosen one to be you? You are the chosen one for the enemy side, and everything you do ends up helping them.
Oh.
Was I the bad guy the whole time? Didn't Unavowed do that?
I mean, it's not really that much different.
You weren't a chosen one in Unavowed.
No, but you were
Yeah.
the bad guy all the while. But
Kind of,
spoiler, by the way.
yeah.
But that one's really hard to pull off because let's see in the chat. in the chat, Alexander said that the reason why we play Chosen Ones is because we all want to do something fantastic. We aspire to be great. I disagree with that. You don't necessarily want to aspire to be great. Roger Wilco has nothing to do with being great.
Good old-fashioned
and
wish
he's
fulfillment.
fantastic. But there is something inherently upsetting about playing a game and then suddenly finding out you were the dickhead all along. That makes people feel really dirty.
Yeah, that
Aspiring to be great,
I'm not
that
that
was a
person,
fun
it
twist.
is.
I love that one.
but figuring, learning that you're a complete douchehead, and you've been responsible for just abject misery in your wake, is a tricky one to do.
Planescape
guy from
Torment did
Andromeda?
it well.
Sure, why not?
Hey,
the
but they
podium did
had
not
the
do it well.
amnesia trope.
They did, but they subverted the amnesia trope in a clever way.
Actually, I never finished that game, so
Oh, well.
because we
No, nor
had
did
it in
I.
the 90s and it didn't work well, so I
Right.
didn't end up finishing it.
And as a
Actually,
co-
I
Alex
should go back to it at some
mentioned
point.
Alex mentioned something earlier. Before this, I was in his stream where he was playing the dig, and there's a bit right at the beginning when you first get onto the asteroid, and Boston, the main character you play as, is like, "I've had secret orders all along to look for alien life," and his companions are like, "What?" And then you, as the player, are also like, "What?" Because how did I know? I'm this guy. How do I not know that I have these secret orders? Which
I don't know. How would you suddenly become the guy who was doing the crimes instead of the guy who was investigating the crimes without noticing?
ask David Cage.
Ask
Stop
Ed-
asking
wait,
David Cage things.
Avuzel says
Ask-
KOTOR
ask
and The
Jessica
Witcher did
Fletcher.
the amnesia trope. Haven't played The Witcher. KOTOR, it did do the amnesia trope. I would actually hazard to say that KOTOR actually did it fairly well, though.
I would say so. That one
I liked how it
definitely
was handled
took
there.
me by surprise, and it wasn't amnesia for no good goddamn reason. It was it was a very good reason.
I think
Amnesia with a
it
darn
worked
good reveal
because
behind it.
pun
Yeah.
maybe sort of kind of intended. You didn't know you had amnesia.
the reveal worked. Is
Exactly.
What I'm trying to say.
So I think Witcher technically it's kind of like half amnesia because he knows who he is and he knows a good deal about his life, but he's just kind of like, I don't remember how I got here, and it's like, dude, you died. Did I die? I don't know what's going on anymore.
I don't
It's like-
feel dead.
I think now that we talk
I
about
think I
it,
might go for a walk.
I think now that we talk about it, the reason the amnesia trope is overused and doesn't work so much is because so many game descriptions in Steam that have the trope tell you that you have amnesia, so you're automatically thinking throughout the game, oh shit, something's gonna happen. What did I do? Oh boy. KOTOR,
You'd work that out
you went
pretty
in with no
quickly.
What do I do
expectations.
now?
Yeah. Well, and yeah,
what
is KOTOR the amnesia trope? It's you just a random. What are you? You're a
Spaceship
soldier,
dude?
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
You're a random space soldier, and at some point it's revealed, oh, by the way, you've been somebody else your whole life.
Yeah, they wiped your
Like
mind.
you say, it's
So-
not. Yeah.
What
you're
I
gonna
think
do
helped that
amnesia-
one is
sorry.
that
I don't think it's the same
uh,
trope.
it kind of ties into a couple of things that happen earlier on in the game.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. It's
Like a couple of
certain
characters
things
make
that
sort
happened-
of offhand references that clue you in later on.
Yeah, it's just like, I don't get why this is happening, and the reveal explains why that happened the way it happened.
Did anyone
reading
play
it in.
Sanitarium? Because
Yes.
that was
I
that was
love
an
Sanitarium.
interesting. I never finished it, but
Big
it was
head.
an interesting way of going. You have amnesia. Now let's just fuck with your head for 6 hours or so.
Oh yeah.
It's just
Oh,
okay. You
yeah.
have amnesia.
yeah.
That's not your biggest problem.
No.
Going
That
back
is-
to
that
the
is-
chosen one thing
That is
for a
a
bit.
distant second to.
The
have to
sanitarium
worry
itself
about.
not being up to code is your biggest problem.
Yeah, going back to the chosen one thing as a sort of corollary to it, I would say easy for me to say. I would say if you're going to have a chosen one trope, at least have the decency to fucking explain it properly. Cough, cough. End of ages. Cough, cough. What the fuck is the grower? Cough, cough. I still don't understand that. They went
Well, it is
on and
also not
on
the reason we
about
went
this.
through
I
IBM.
don't even know who it was supposed to be. I can't remember if it
bad
was supposed
cough.
to be Yisha. I can't remember if it was supposed to be you or Asher or who the fuck it was supposed to be. They kept mentioning it over and over in journals and dialogue. I still don't understand it.
This is interesting because going back to what Pickle Dog said earlier about the reason why we have amnesia tropes is because you need someone to explain to you what the game world is all about. The reverse side of that is chucking you into a game world almost in medias res and not explaining anything. People just throwing random terminology at you, and you're just supposed to, pick it up by osmosis through the game world. And that means that. Okay, nice.
Well, you
Consortium kind
find
of
out
did
in
that.
the yeah, you find what's it called in the menu that there'll be like a glossary.
Yeah, that's actually a trope that that's
like that.
useful, but you can also really get lost in one of them. Has anyone played the Feeble Files?
I've heard of.
I mean, Cave Story does this. It's
I mean,
and Consortium
they
did that
try.
too. You're basically taking control of this Master Chief knockoff, basically, and you're suddenly in control of his life, and these people start coming and talking to you as if you're that super soldier, like you should know what the hell you're talking about, and Trolls is glitching out all over the place again. Awesome. But yeah, there's a
Fine.
glossary you
You're
can look
glitching.
up and everything.
Might need to reconnect here. I see my connection speed is.
I can't see Icky
on the
anymore.
first.
Oh dear. Is it
Oh,
time to
Tom's
brew
doing a thing.
Yeah, might be
Yeah,
time. Be right back, everybody.
Time to
Okay, apologies for that. We've transported ourselves to Brazil. We seem to have our camera issues worked out.
Yeah.
Samba music intensifies.
Yes, Trolls
So,
is going at 2
what
frames
I-
a second. Oh, there he is. He's smoothed out. All right, we're good.
Yeah.
Alright.
So
and
in
the
terms of
oh, sorry.
so in terms of Amnesia, the one thing that I was thinking of is kind of like it'd be interesting if they kind of did it like interesting. I don't know if it would work. You'd need a deft hand, but like your character actually has dementia, and then so it's kind of like you go through and all the between the cutscenes or like moving locations. There's things that have happened that someone's like, oh no, you've done this and this. You're like, no, I didn't.
Gaps in your memory. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
like for every day the character wakes up, shit's gone. The past week has just flown by, and you weren't really
Yeah.
there. That's
So then, like,
actually an interesting idea.
Yeah.
Someone should
yeah.
do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
They kind
So-
of toyed with that in the last episode of the King's Quest reboot, but
Oh,
they
yeah.
didn't really explore it that much.
And also, who
And then
played
they
that?
they got high.
Yeah, I was just gonna
Yeah.
say, and I decided not to. Someone
So,
did.
so we've touched on Amnesia, which I briefly had. Sorry about that. We touched on Amnesia. We touched on The Chosen One. What other tropes we got? I think Trolls. You had an idea.
Oh yeah. For some reason, whenever someone wants to set like going back to the whole protagonist thing, if you don't want to put them in some sort of fantastical setting, or if you want to give them some sort of real agency beyond I'm just a normal guy who wakes up and go to work kind of protagonist, it always reverts back to the plucky reporter or the plucky detective. Someone goes off and does, because you can sort of see a reporter and a detective have the drive to go out and solve shit, but there's an awful fucking lot of them in adventure games. One thing I think, let's say like Indiana Jones is an archaeologist who just happens to go on fantastic adventures.
Right.
It's an interesting concept to have an archaeologist who also moonlights as a daredevil adventurer. I can buy that. There's a whole series of Indiana Jones knockoffs called The Librarian, which is even more fantastic.
My dad loves that one.
Which it's
Anyone
basically
remember
Indiana
Relic
Jones for
Hunter?
kids. No, but
Tia
there's
Carrera as Indiana Jones.
there
Oh,
aren't. This
jeez.
this is not a knock on Lamplight City. Don't get me wrong, but there are a lot of detectives in adventure gaming history. It's time to think of other professions, please.
Well, okay, so well,
But he was
I mean,
good.
there's
The guy in,
reports.
in
Yeah,
Lamplight City was
but
good.
but in
I
terms
like
of
him.
like murder, there's not many murder type games that aren't adventure games. So I can see where, like, if you're trying to do like a murder game, you will often go to some sort of police detective or PI or that sort of thing.
Yeah, but I mean, Gabriel Knight is a schlock writer who just happens to also be a detective
Oh,
in his own
yeah.
head. So that basically
Don't
is
forget,
just-
he's also a chosen one.
He is
that's
also
true.
a
He
chosen
is.
one.
Oh, he is very much the
Yes, he's the shit jockey or shot or something like that.
Yeah, but what's that called? So I'm trying to think of some of the other murder games I've played. Most
Murder
of
on
them
the
you are some
Mississippi.
I was thinking of Blue Heat. I'm always thinking about Blue Heat. That one
Why?
was a bit interesting because
Trolls
like
is going away again.
yeah, as
Really?
much as she was a police detective, she was undercover as a cover model, so everyone was treating her like she was just a model. I don't know. Also,
I rem-
stripper.
I remember seeing in one of those Sierra catalogs that used to come in the big boxes of Sierra games. I saw an ad for Urban Runner. Ikifu will know exactly what I'm talking about. And I don't recall it verbatim, but the tiny little ad copy, it was basically just screenshots and then just a tiny little blurb of text that just said, "You are a reporter investigating a deal gone bad." I was like, wow, no one has ever done this before. Hashtag sarcasm. Most generic description of a story ever.
Yeah.
Which leads to him being framed for a crime he didn't commit. So,
And then banging a woman he never really speaks to in the English version before they bang.
Lucy
Can I,
suggests the
can I
unlikely
jump
hero
in?
trope. Can we think of anything that's done that?
Oh, well, now
before
we're
that,
in Farnsworth's court.
Yeah,
Before that, can I
Francis
just
has got
jump
something.
in defense of the... Well, not in defense, but I can tell you why most adventure games have detectives and reporters as protagonists. Because by nature, the gameplay of adventure games usually involves solving a mystery or uncovering a mystery or whatever. And it's interesting you bring up Indiana Jones because, yeah, he's an archaeologist who moonlights as a Nazi punching adventurer.
And a damn good one.
Yes,
I don't think he
but-
necessarily
These
goes
fine
out of his
leather
way
jackets.
to punch Nazis, but if they're about,
Yeah.
Well,
The punch sound effect is fantastic, by the way. Anyway,
but there have been 2 Indiana Jones adventure games. How much actual archaeology do you do in them? That was what the point that John Ingold made with Heaven's Vault. Heaven's Vault is it's a narrative game that actually involves actual archaeology because actual archaeology is very different to the adventure archaeology that we
well,
see.
there's not a brush this piece of bone we found simulator mini game in Indiana Jones. There is that stupid tripod puzzle in Greece in Fate of Atlantis.
Oh, yes.
Where you have to triangulate some shit.
But would you consider
you
that
want some archaeology?
archaeology?
Play Tomb Raider: Angels of Darkness or something like that. Well, there's some
No,
archaeology in there.
but is there any actual archaeology in the movies?
Who cares?
Well, no,
Not
it's
really.
there are a
faux,
few
it's
digs.
faux
Belongs in a
archaeology.
museum.
Yeah.
But that's the whole thing. Indiana Jones himself is not, as a character, is not a true archaeologist in that sense. But anyway,
You're
that
absolutely
beside-
right. With regards, sorry, carry on.
finish.
I was just gonna agree
Oh.
with you a lot.
It's fine. Stop kissing my ass, trolls.
It's got
Hold me
coronavirus.
accountable every now and then.
No.
No. Just real quick to say that like what I wanted to do with Lamplight City was, yeah, you're a detective, but in most detective games, it does everything for you. So I wanted to make a detective game where you actually were doing detective things and actually playing as like a detective. I mean, I don't. Your mileage may
opposed-
vary on how successfully I did that, but that's what my intent was.
I think you did a brilliant job, and you're absolutely
Don't-
right. Adventure games need adventure games need a mystery to solve. That's exactly what you're doing. You're solving puzzles, right?
They don't.
So
I would
Better
a
argue
lot of
that.
kissy kissy.
I would
one of
argue
my favorite
that they
quotes.
don't need a mystery. They need a conflict, but they don't necessarily need a mystery per se.
Could you make the dull? Actually, I have pitched the dullest
I
adventure
made a
to you
game
and
about a
Richard
real
Cobbett.
estate agent. I made a game about a real estate agent. So
I was there when you pitched
Did
it.
that sell 500 copies on its first release? No.
I don't think that sold 500 copies in its first year. No, it did. Anyway,
You did.
If people who played it loved it. Go play a Golden
Yes,
Wake.
yes.
But one
I
of my
played it
favorite
8
quotes.
times.
One of my favorite
might
quotes
play
from
it 9.
Harrison Ford.
Anyway,
Back to Indiana Jones,
Oh!
anyway. One of my favorite quotes from Harrison Ford, was about Blade Runner, because we talked about Blade Runner earlier. The reason he famously disliked working on the movie was, well, it was shitty working conditions, one, but also two, he played a detective who didn't do any detective work, is what he felt like. And I guess technically the same goes for the game. I mean, you do sort of do detective work, but not really.
I think that quote came early on enough that they were making script changes. If I remember the behind-the-scenes stuff correctly. This does not invalidate the point or segue.
Well, no, but it kind of, because he actually does detective work. He punches a person who does snakes for a living, and uses
Does
the Esper
snakes.
machine while drunk.
Yeah. Oh, actually, who was it? There was the snake scale lady, who I guess wasn't the snake person. And
No,
then,
it's the snake
and then he
merchant. I
has
just
the
grabbed
he has the snake person by the scruff of the neck, and then
Yeah.
his son does his lip movements in the final
Right.
cut. And yeah,
yeah,
I mean,
no-
I
no
would
punch.
argue that Blade Runner does a bit more detective work than most games that would claim to do detective work. Like, you are gathering clues. There's no inventory object puzzles to deal with. You're even at one point dealing with whether or not you want certain evidence to go into the central computer. You know, there's a lot more of
See,
that kind
that's
of
the like,
thing.
that's one of the things I really respect about Blue Heat is that it is very much. Have you looked at it, Trolls? Have you looked at how Blue Heat plays?
No, all I know is
No.
Richard Cobbett had to do a lot of black box editing in that video.
Yes, of nipples, yes. But like the whole I mean, it is kind of considering that she's undercover, the fact that she hears something and just
Yeah,
whips
she
out
is.
her she whips out her PDA and just goes, alibi is this, because you're supposed to hit the PDA as soon as they say something that might be either motive or alibi. So
But
just a moment, I just need to connect to the central crime computer.
Wait,
But-
can we think of adventure game protagonists, good adventure game protagonists that weren't reporters or investigators or detectives, other than Roger Wilco and Larry Laffer, who I guess
April
isn't
Ryan.
technically solving.
Amy Willard.
She
Okay,
was a, she
we
was
can
a,
think of
she
a
was a-
few.
She was a
I
Ben.
was
painter.
going to
from Full
mention
Throttle.
Who's
Roger
mechanic?
Wilco because how many games do you get to play as a golem made of horseshoes? There is
What?
no other explanation as for how he survived 6 games.
what? A golem made of horseshoes?
He's very
Yeah,
lucky.
you know, like golems are made, inanimate material given
Yeah.
life, and horseshoes are lucky. Ergo,
Oh, I see.
Now, see, now,
Wait,
now
who
people
are you
have got-
referring to?
People have got
Roger
Roger
Wilco.
Wilco all wrong. He's all. I mean, he only became like the bumbling idiot when the fan games took over in Space Quest 5 and 6. Space Quest 1 through 4, he's resourceful but lazy. That's the whole character of Roger Wilco. He's
To be
very
fair-
resourceful.
literally lost a broom in 2 because he couldn't be bothered holding on to it. Wait, did I just
Nah,
prove
he's
your
just
point or
clumsy.
disprove your
Slightly
point?
clumsy, but not like a bumbling doofus.
To
The
be
player
fair,
makes him a
Roger
bumbling
Wilco
doofus.
doesn't actually get any character until about Space Quest
There's
4 or 5. The
also
rest of the
that.
time, it's
Well, he's only
the
referred to
narrator
as Roger
that's-
from 3
There's
onwards.
also that, right?
It's basically all the information you get about him comes from the narrator making fun of you, so...
Okay, that's
That-
true. Fine. Right, I will accept. that.
Finally, we agree on something, Trolls,
Space Quest 2
regarding
is
Space
fantastic.
Quest.
Okay,
It is-
That would be
moving on to
interesting
one
to-
more. Dan asks about the loser trope, which, I mean, I suppose we've kind of touched on it with Roger Wilco, but any other examples we can think
Larry.
of, apart from Larry?
Larry's obvious.
Tex
Yeah.
Murphy.
Apart from Larry.
Tex Murphy.
Yeah, Tex Murphy, but
Tex
he's a
Murphy
detective
kinda
as
has
well. But
Yeah.
it would
Well,
be
yeah, he is that.
interesting. Yeah, it would be interesting to see actually like the top 100 adventure game list, and then just see what the professions of each of those people would be. I suppose what's it called? There's George. George is a patent lawyer, but
Oh,
George
right.
is a psychopath.
He is.
Yep. Well, sociopath.
Sociopath,
about
yeah,
Psychopath
sorry.
would be much more violent.
Oh no! I was just gonna ask, what about Bernard, Hoagie, and Laverne? And then I remembered Icky's erotic fan fiction about
AI
Hey,
generated, no less.
I do want to
Years
do
to go
more of
see
Moose
that video.
douche.
that sentence was not AI generated though.
But it was good. It is.
I not expect that to break you all so quickly. It was just like instant collapse.
It was fantastic. But
Is the loser trope
or
really overused, though, would you say?
The
really
anti-hero
quite
overused.
I think the
I mean, there are
anti-hero.
ones out there.
I mean, I'm not going to say loser, but there's definitely an overabundance of anti-heroes in adventure games.
That's
Probably
not-
because of that stereotype
Not
that
really the same
adventure
thing, I
games are
don't think.
solitary entertainment. Like you sit and you play adventure games on your own. It's just a single player experience, which the YouTube Adventure Roundtable seeks to demystify. Thank you.
Okay, how would you classify
need to
Guybrush
disprove.
Threepwood then?
Oh
Yes,
man,
that's one.
I don't know if I've told you this story before, but I remember there was an issue of the Adventure, the newsletter that came with some of the LucasArts games, where I think they were talking about Full Throttle or someone, and they were comparing Guybrush to them, and they said they described Guybrush as lovable but nerdy, and I remember being like, Guybrush isn't nerdy. Because I was thinking of like nerd in the sense of like Bernard, like stereotypical cartoon glasses
proved
with
the
like
point.
pocket protector. Exactly, right? So I was like, Guybrush is nerdy. He's cool, but no, Guybrush is pretty nerdy. Like he's a dork.
nerd.
I'm trying to zero in on what how you define a loser. Like I thought Guybrush Threepwood
loser's
would
not-
kind of fit in there, as would Bernard, all the way back to like the protagonist of Teen Agent.
Oh,
These
god.
guys went on to do a game that I don't remember the name of.
I wonder if that technically would then
Gawky?
classify Bent from A New Beginning, because he is a disgraced scientist at that point at the start of the game.
I feel like that's too competent to get the loser title.
I
He has-
don't like the
he has
loser
knowledge, he has
title. Anti-hero, I think, is better because that covers more ground. Loser would imply a person that never gets their way.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
I
that's
so
what
you mean
Dan's
like
going for, though.
Devlin from
I don't
Orion
think
Conspiracy.
anti-hero is the same thing in this case. I think anti-hero is more. I associate that more with someone who's not a villain, but not the Superman type, like Dave on
Roger
Public
Wilco.
7. If anybody's seen that.
Oh, right.
Can you give us an example of an anti-hero in a adventure game then? It might clear things up.
What, me?
Yes.
Well, Roger
Since you
Wilco
brought it
and
up.
Guybrush Threepwood and Tex Murphy. They are not
anti-hero,
typical
I-
heroes.
Are they anti? Yeah,
I don't think they're
They're
anti-heroes.
not heroes, but anti-hero is like the opposite, like Snake Plissken from
Yeah, there you go.
So,
Like,
you mean like a
explicitly
tough
doesn't
guy
even
who doesn't
want to be a hero.
Roger
Who
Wilco
ends
is
up
actually
doing
more
good.
unlikely heroes, like Lucy was saying. Not really anti-heroes.
Unlikely
Anti-hero
is
is,
a bad name for it, yeah.
is pretty well defined in other media.
Okay, I'll give you that.
Like Kratos
it's-
from God of War is an anti-hero.
Yeah.
I always
This is
thought
Rufus
Roger
from,
Wilco was an
Deponia
anti-hero
count
because
as then.
he doesn't want to be
I would put him in
a
a
hero.
loser, but
He
yeah.
doesn't want to be in that situation. I'll give you Tex Murphy and I'll give you George Stobart or whatever. But Roger Wilco always struck me as a person who never wants to be in the situation he is currently in, except for at the start of the first game where he is asleep. That's the default Roger Wilco setting. That's where he wants to be, and he never is. So that strikes
even
me.
that's
but-
not really
okay,
anti-hero.
reluctant. And also he never gets recognition as a hero, even though he inadvertently does heroic things. This is not the Space Quest Historian podcast. We can talk about other people.
Going back a bit, I think just the term loser is kind of a leftover from the 90s idea of like, cool loser. Like loser being just like you're a slacker or you
you're not a
you
jock,
don't do
you're a
anything
loser.
with your life. Well,
The disaffected youth
I
of
don't think it's-
America.
yeah, I don't think it's quite so like at those two ends of the spectrum, jock and loser. But like you're just loser's kind of just like yeah, you're lazy. Like Roger Wilco would fit the definition of loser because he's lazy. He doesn't
True.
accomplish anything. He's not an achiever or whatever.
Exactly. True. Very
Larry
true.
Laffer's a
man.
loser in a different sense because he strikes out with women. So it's like, oh, you're not having sex, you're a loser, which is another very 90s attitude. So yeah.
George Stobart should be in a mental facility. So I would say society is a loser for not putting him there sooner.
I think that interestingly, like, it's kind of like another thing of like why there's so many reporters and detectives in your murder mystery or your mystery is because they have a chance of connecting to a police officer and actually being respected in the sense of, yeah, you should be here.
Oh, I just thought
Oh,
of something.
trolls! Oh man,
I was gonna say screen cap that quick.
Did you get the screenshot?
No, I just thought of
Maybe somebody
of
can
a
clip
game
it.
that did. I'm sorry. I should have thought of this like 30 minutes ago. I just thought of a game that did the amnesia trope extremely well. You've never heard me mention this game before. This will come as an absolutely fresh bomb from the sky, beneath the steel sky, because he doesn't technically have amnesia. He was a child. He doesn't remember.
No.
That's not the same as amnesia.
No, he is not.
No, but you're still
is
exploring a city, a
the
new
unknown
place.
heritage.
Yeah. Because okay, so there's that's a whole trope in itself. The new kid in town. I mean, like, what's it called? You can do.
we're gonna be
when I
here
say
for
new
hours, aren't we?
Kid, yeah.
We'll wrap
We
it
have
up.
been here for hours.
Yeah. So
In fact,
pretty much the whole
let's
idea
make this
is
one the
either
last
that,
one. New kid in town.
Yeah, so new kid in town is basically. I mean, it doesn't always have to be a child, but basically,
It
this
could be
is
like
new
a
machine
thing
did
to
it.
you. Yeah, you're new to this what's it called town. You get to investigate everything. You get to learn everything. Technically, you could also classify Blackwell as that because, as much as she's still in New York, she's being entered into a world that she literally couldn't see before.
She's also a reporter.
That's gotta be
She
another
is-
trope
no,
on its own,
no,
though, surely.
she's a reporter
Discovering
that
the grim
doesn't
dark
work as a reporter
underworld.
anymore.
Right. But she's
Yeah, she
still
gets
a
fired
reporter.
from her job in like the first game, did she?
Yeah, she-
Yeah. But she continues
was
being
freelance.
an investigator.
Hey, can I
Doesn't
just
get
say,
a PI's license, though, does
Shardlight,
she?
Shardlight did things amazingly well. Protagonist is not a reporter or detective, and it throws you into a weird place with a weird setting where it doesn't expect you to just pick it up, and it also doesn't over-explain. It just goes, "Shit's happened. We all know shit can happen, right?" Shardlight was good.
Well,
Yeah.
thank
Sorry.
you.
Yes,
Go
it
on.
was.
I love the ending.
Which one?
The,
Which button to get ending did you press? Oh,
both.
There's more than two.
Sorry, I keep
Uh,
derailing things. New kid in town.
Rosewater's
No,
a new
that was
kid
pretty
in
much it.
town.
Yeah,
Because
Rosewater's new
you
kid in
show
town.
up, you show up in Rosewater, and you're new in town, and you explore and meet people.
I mean, not that
So that's
not
tropey.
that, not that Lorna is at a point that's playable by anyone, but considering that the one that I'm working on contains at least, it's kind of like recontextualizing the short game. That's not really new kid in town though, is it? It's kind of like, guess what? This game was a lot more complicated than you thought it was. Mind blown.
Well, the,
I'm totally
the
not just
topic
trying to
kind of derailed
re-justify
a
a whole
little
heap of
bit.
things.
We went from discussing how to improve/avoid tropes to just listing them. But then again, what's new around here? So,
Hey,
Well, the
no,
exact
no,
way to-
we got to wrap things up
Think
because
outside the
we've
box.
got other things to get to. Speaking of which, plug time. Got a lot of shit going on over on my Twitch channel. Got a new Board Game Obscura video out now for everybody. That's in the Board Game Obscura collection. Go check that out. Working on a new video, working on assets for another show. So yeah, a whole bunch of shit. And I'm working on stuff to improve/implement perks for follow and sub goals. So yeah, twitch.tv/Gemini does games. And I'm also on Twitch and Discord. You can follow the details there. Grundy.
Oh, I'm currently still working on Rosewater, as I will be for many more months.
How's it coming?
You can follow me on. It's great. It's coming along great. I don't know if the game's great.
Now with conviction.
It's great.
Trolls.
Wait, I'm not done.
Wait, follow
You can
Grundy.
follow me at Grundislav Games. Follow me on Twitch at Grundislav. I stream sometimes. I haven't been streaming lately. If you're awake later tonight, in about an hour, 2.5 hours, I will be on Matt Chat with Matt Barton, along with
Good
Julia
lord.
Minamata and
nice.
someone whose name I forget, who's talking about a book he wrote about the films of Uwe Boll. So that'll be live streamed tonight, so you can watch that. If you're not awake, then you can watch the VOD. But I'll be tweeting about it, so follow my Twitter. Yay! Thanks. Bye.
Joel.
Cool. Mad Chat, nice. Yeah, I am actually since I've been sequestered at home. That's not the word I'm looking for. I have been imprisoned in my home by the Danish government.
And by as a parent.
And also speaking as a parent.
This
No,
was prior to
I'm-
coronavirus, but anyway.
As you probably noticed, my channel has gone from making useful gameplay content to less useful me jabbering at the camera sort of content. In my off time, I should be working on my game. There is no one to replace. It has sort of taken a slight backseat to spending ages duplicating tapes for backers of the Space Quest 4 Galaxy Galleria vinyl EP. But that is soon done, and then it's back to making more game content. So if you would like to follow the adventures of a person who definitely should not be making games but insists on doing it anyway, go to patreon.com/spacequesthistorian. There are some very fabulous tiers you can join where you can get full disclosure and full spoiler-full updates for backers if you so choose. So have a look at that. Thanks.
Wes.
Hello, yeah.
Hello.
I'm Pickadog here. I promise to put up some content in a year now. Life should be.
He'll be live sometime this century. Keep an eye on him.
It'll be live
Yeah.
sometime this century. Yeah, Twitch.tv/Pickadog. I should actually be doing something fairly soon. So yeah, life seems to be finally steering in some general direction. You know how it goes. Damn reality.
Fuck reality.
Yeah, messing with my shit.
Especially-
Yeah.
God, real life. What a loser. Iki.
I do YouTube, I do reviews of point and click games. I should put something up on there, but life has been a touch on the busy side. I should get something up, say within the week. I think that's perfectly possible. I also have a Patreon if you feel like being generous in that regard. I may have been quick 'cause I
I'd-
need to be.
I'd kiss you, but coronavirus.
Lee.
I'll just take the money.
Okay.
Lee.
So Grammar Hole will be open about this time tomorrow. Haven't quite. We've got 3 different games that we can play at the moment because we've started. Well, we've started more than that, but 3's the option. So it's either going to be a hidden object game by Jane Jensen, or what was the other game that was the option?
The point and click
I
crime.
wonder if it was a
No. I finished the point and click crime.
Oh.
Oh my god, did so I streamed
Or
that
did
in
it
the morning
finish
on my
you?
day off, and then by the time nighttime came around, I went, fuck it, I'm playing the rest of this. I kind of want to get the most recent one of those games. There are 15 of these weird, like Myst-like games. They've done one a year.
Do not
for the past
besmirch
15
Mist's good
years.
name by lumping them in with this.
No, I said Myst-like. It's a Myst-like. It makes Myst look like a brilliant game.
Which it
And it wasn't before?
is.
Yes. It rises the esteem of Myst in my eyes. That is the highest praise I can give it.
I mean, granted, getting a number of games out on the regular is impressive.
Yes.
When it gets to that many, you can't help but feel the quality is going to be
Yeah.
very low.
No. I see. The thing is that I would have expected that if they've done this 15 times, that the quality would have gotten better. As far
No,
as I
but
can tell
15
from
is
the
too many. Like, they're just churning them out too fast. If they'd
Especially
say
at a rate of 1 a minute.
4 in that time, good. There's time to improve. 15, way too many to make any improvements.
At this point, you're the Madden NFL of Mythblocks.
Yeah. Or the
But
Call of Duty.
if we do, if we do go back to a Carol Reed hell, I will only get the most recent one, so that it's kind of like, well, this is where we were at episode 5. Where are we at episode 15? Has there been any improvements? Apparently, it's now on widescreen.
Oh, well.
That
nice.
may be the only update.
So, 1.
And what's going on with YAR?
F&V Club.
Yes.
So first episode of the new F&V Club went up today. We are gonna go and work on at least one more of those for today. We are possibly working on a Moose Douche.
Yes. All of that will be
Lovely.
recorded
Lovely.
after
Straight
we
after
get
this.
through streaming here.
From the net.
So keep an eye out on twitch.tv/YARstream or YouTube's YouTube Adventure Roundtable channel for all that good stuff. And
We have also been brainstorming new games for expert level. It is not dead, even though I am not in it.
his
you
head
are
is
dead.
merely replaced with
You-
a
no,
different
no.
rotating host.
You are in it. Your body is gonna be in there. Your body will be
Be in
there.
there
Your
for
head
all
will not.
eternity. We will finish our heads on as needed.
This was the reason we did IVF.
Thank you for watching Yard
Because
Talk.
there was
We'll
a
see you
problem
next
with your
time.
head.
Bye
Anyway.
bye.